The following contains extremely explicit content and is for mature audiences only. All characters and personalities are used for parody purposes. It was 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffled in. Billy turned to the old man sitting next to him at the bar. He was a sad man, a man who had seen much in his life and had been disappointed by nearly all of it, if not more. The old man paused in his liquor guzzling to turn towards Billy. "Hello." "Hey, Jerry," said Billy to the old man, "making love to your tonic and gin again?" "Don't get smart with me, young man," snapped Jerry, slurring and taking another swig of the libation. "Sorry, Jerry," said Billy, signaling the bartender John to bring him a drink too. John, who had worked at the bar for years, was a friend of Billy's, but Billy knew the bar wasn't where John wanted to spend his evenings. Not that Billy blamed him, he didn't want to be here either, but he needed the money if he was going to get through med school without a mountain of debt. "Here you go, Billy," said John, depositing a whiskey on the counter in front of him. "Say, Billy, did you hear I kicked a midget the other night?" "Why did you do that?" asked Billy as he pulled out a cigarette. John quickly whipped out his lighter and lit it for him. "He was standing next to my girlfriend and he said her hair smelled nice." "Oh, John," thought Billy. John was as close to being a comedian as he was a movie star, his dream career. So, not close at all. John had the worst jokes. "Keep trying," said Billy encouragingly. "Bill, I believe this is killing me," began John. He was interrupted as the old man let out a big sigh. "What is it, Jer?" asked Billy, ignoring John, who abandoned what was sure to be another absolutely awful joke to go serve other customers, such as the lonely businessman passing a joint and assorted other illicit substances in the corner. "Son, can you play me a memory?" asked the old man. Billy opened his mouth to ask how this memory Jerry wanted went, but the old man interrupted and said, "I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes." "Jerry, you're drunk again," said Billy, pounding his whiskey like Billy Joel pounds the keys of his piano. Quickly. Jerry looked taken aback, confused again. Billy sighed. He hated to see him like this. "Look, my set doesn't start for a couple of minutes. How about I cheer you up, Jerry?" "How are you going to do that?" asked Jerry, looking at him with wide eyes. "Let me give you a private dance on the house," said Billy. Jerry didn't answer, so Billy took the old man by the hand, led him to the back of the bar. Billy sat Jerry down in a chair and stood over him. It didn't take long for the music to start, and Billy began grinding on the old man. "I love this song," said Jerry. "Oh, la 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 diddy-da, la la diddy-da-dum." "Shut up, Jerry, and enjoy the dance," said Billy, swinging his leg over his head and licking it seductively. It had taken a month to perfect that move. "Yes, sir," said Jerry, perking up. Billy could see a small twitch in Jerry's pants at the crotch and knew the old wrinkled pecker within was struggling to achieve full boner. Billy hoped Jerry had had enough gin and tonics that wouldn't happen. Giving him a lap dance was one thing. Billy did not plan on blowing him. Sure enough, the song soon ended and Jerry remained limp. Billy patted his hand as Jerry made his way back to the bar. It was time for Billy to get to work anyway. Billy jumped up on the stage and took his place between his fellow dancers, Paul and Davy. Paul was a jerk and Davy was dumber than Ben Carson, but Billy didn't get to pick his coworkers. If he could, he wouldn't have picked them. Billy noticed that Paul was in a frumpy suit with a pair of glasses. Billy wrinkled his brow in confusion. "What are you supposed to be, Paul?" "I'm a real estate novelist," said Paul. "Too obscure?" "Yeah, I don't remember no real estate novelist in the village, people," said Davy. "Well, not all of us can be a walking stereotype, Davy," said Paul, eyeing Davy's old Navy uniform, which had been used so much it was starting to come apart, and not just in the parts where it was supposed to be when he ripped it off 10 seconds into his routine. "Come on, guys," said Billy, "we have a show to perform." The light pattern changed and a new number started. It sounded like carnival music. Billy gave the DJ a look that said, "Really?" but jumped up on the stage anyway between Davy and Paul. It was a pretty good crowd for the Saturday. Billy saw the manager in the back of the room give him a smile. "'Cause he knows it's me, they've been coming to see to forget about life for a while," thought Billy. Davy danced around the stage showily, working up the patrons. Billy and Paul stayed in the center and twerked on each other. It took about 6 seconds for Paul to become rock hard, his throbbing member pressing against Billy's ass crack. Billy grinded against him even harder, knowing those watching from the dark corners of the room would enjoy that. And if you had to be honest, although he'd never been with a man before, Billy kind of enjoyed it too. It was flattering in a way to be able to turn someone on like this. Suddenly, the grinding got more intense as Paul rubbed his dickhead feverishly at Billy's brown star, trying to poke it through Billy's underwear fabric like a giant-ass steel sword through butter. Paul pushed Billy to his hands and knees and ripped off Billy's underwear. The crowd leaned forward, entranced. This was not the show they had expected. "God, what are you doing, Paul?" asked Billy angrily, trying to stand up. "I don't know, man. I just gotta fuck you," said Paul, pushing him back down. "We're here to dance," said Billy, ignoring the stirring in his loins. "Not fuck." "I can't help it. I've got to get off now," said Paul, his eyes looking strange. He was clearly not in his right mind. "Jesus, get a hold of yourself," protested Billy. "If you're that horny, use your hand." Danny, who had shed his uniform by now, was dancing in just a thong, his limp package flopping around like the boobs of an obese woman trying to jog, came and joined them. "What's going on?" asked Davy. "I don't know, man," said Paul, sweating now. "I gotta fuck." God damn it, did you take those pills the businessman gave you? Asked Billy. Never take strange drugs. Of course I took them, said Paul, shedding his own clothes quickly, desperately, like Billy Joel's fingers across the keys of his piano. Now, just hold on a second, Paul, began Billy, trying to stand up. I can't, Bill, said Paul, shoving Billy back to the ground. Before Billy could rise again, Paul jammed his 10-inch dick all the way down Billy's old dirt road, rearranging intestines like a professional closet organizer organizes closets. Billy howled like a cat giving birth on a bed of coals, the pain intense, and stars swam before his eyes. Paul could have at least used a little lube. Shut him up, Davy, hissed Paul, who grabbed Billy's waist and began thrusting it out furiously like a jigsaw meddled with by Tim the Toolman Taylor. Sure, said Davy, pulling out his own dick, only a couple of inches in its unaroused state. But Billy's screaming now changed to pleasurable moans, and Davy grabbed Billy's face and shoved the half-chub into his still-open mouth. Even let less than full mast, it hit Billy's tonsils. Oomph, said Billy. In spite of himself, he found he was liking this. He'd never thought about taking a dick before, let alone two, but he had to admit that he liked it more than eating out his girlfriend, Wendy the waitress's gross pussy. What did you say? Asked Davy, pulling out just a little. Your microphone smells like beer, managed Billy, hungrily lapping at the flesh piston. Oh yeah, I dipped in that guy's Guinness earlier, said Davy, shoving it back in. Hope you like dark Irish ale. I'm about to deliver some dark Irish ale at his asshole, said Paul, whose last name was O'Toole and whose skin color matched his dick length. Billy, do you want to be in the Navy? Shouted John from across the bar. Because the Navy's in you. No one laughed at John's dumb fucking joke. Yeah, and I'm gonna come on his face, said Davy around moans. Billy had never felt more aroused, spit roasted between his fellow male strippers. Who knew it would take being in a Chinese finger trap to make him as rock hard as a teenager with a slutty date on prom night? He wriggled, trying his best to give his fellow dancers as much pleasure as possible. God, yes, yes, groaned Paul. He pulled out and came all over Billy's bare back, the white goo making it all the way up to Billy's hair. That would not be coming out easily. Oh, I'm gonna come, said Davy, who pulled out and spewed right on Billy's face, coating the pale mask in a paler mask of scalding man juice. God damn it, what the fuck, you guys? You got it on my nose, said Billy, struggling to his feet. The semen in his nostrils burned almost as bad as the chlamydia Wendy the waitress had given him last month while they were practicing politics, as she liked to call their sex life. She was a handful. Sorry, Billy, said Paul, coming to his senses. Okay, my turn, said Billy, pointing his erection towards Davy. But before Davy could slurp Billy's rosy rod, they were set upon. Their frantic fucking had excited the crowd, and now several of the stone businessmen were swarming the stage. Billy felt himself grabbed by multiple hands and dragged down to the floor. Oh crap, breathed Davy. They think he's a fuck toy. Davy and Paul watched in fascination, doing nothing to help Billy. Billy struggled across the floor, crawling his way between the legs of the horny, lonely men, who nearly all had their pants down by now. He was tempted to give in to their carnal demands, but there were so many of them that he got scared. He only managed to get past them because their reflexes had been slowed by the cannabis. Crap, Billy had run up against the bar. There was nowhere to go now. The men were right behind him, and he felt himself being lifted up onto the wooden counter that he had drunk at so many times. Billy tried to yell at John for help, but he couldn't be heard over the excitement of the patrons. Dicks were everywhere, in his mouth and his ears and his ass, which was being pounded like Billy Joel's fingers pounded the keys of his piano. He felt at least two plunge into his rectal ring, and he would have screamed again if not for the massive fat one on his tongue. He felt peni, press against his hands, wanting to be jerked off. Billy didn't grip them, but he knew he was stimulating them as he flailed, trying to get some purchase on something he could use to pulling away, feeling as helpless as a rat at a cat shelter. The two dicks pulled out of Billy's ass with a loud pop, like opening 1,000 cans of Pringles all at once, and he tried to breathe the sound of relief over the flesh popsicle forced down his throat. Before he could, though, he heard Jerry yell, "I'm going to put my bread in that jar!" And another boner pulverized his rear entry. Jerry must have taken the bills, too, thought Billy, glad the old man would finally get to make love to something other than his tonic and gin. Now Billy's entire world was a writhing, smelly, wet mess of man-musk and cum stains. It was like being in a football locker room on any game day Saturday, or so Billy imagined. He was being fucked in every conceivable way by more than a dozen stone guys. Too bad no one was returning the favor, as Billy's unprecedented erection went as unused as a bra at the Playboy Mansion. It took a couple of hours, the minutes dragging by more slowly than Wendy the waitress usually took to get off. Many times Billy struggling for breath around unkempt, hairy pubic regions. But eventually they all jizzed as much as they could jizz, and one by one the men in the bar drifted away, going home to sleep off this outrageous orgy of male organs, and only Wendy was left, sitting in a booth by the corner, masturbating as frantically as Billy Joel's fingers moved across the keys of his piano. Billy lay in a pool of spooge on the cold wooden bar, feeling as used as a 1992 Toyota Camry in a used car lot. Absent-mindedly, he reached back and pulled the shot glass the last strangler had plugged his battered butt with. "Wow," exclaimed John, tossing Billy a bar rag. Not that one small square of cloth could do much to combat the copious cum dripping from every inch of Billy's skin. You were pounded harder than the piano in a music conservatory practice room. I'm gonna call you the piano man from now on. Fuck you, John, said Billy. You're not fucking funny.
It's worse in the daytime.